But David, we're going to kick off with you, and I believe you've got a report on inflation.
Well, it's not going well, Brian. The Bank of England in the August 2023 update and prediction assured us inflation was going to be going down and only down, and it would be right back under 2%, almost certainly very soon. And well, they're now saying something slightly different. So here we've got the FT reporting. We've got a bump, a speed bump. It's just a small upward inclination here. Consumer price inflation, which dipped in July to 6.8% from 7.9%, is expected to go up to 7.1% in August. So this does indicate that the Bank of England's predictions and the Bank of England's confidence in bringing inflation down is not as certain as it's been advertised. If we look from the FT here at the graphical representation of the inflation rate, we see that the red line here is the monthly rate, and it zigzags all the way up. But its trend is still basically upwards. And the dark blue line, the year on year, is still heading upwards. So despite the graphics in the Bank of England reports, which show the worst is already behind us and inflation has turned down, there's indications there that inflation is actually still heading upwards, not downwards. The FT also comments on the public perception of this, because of course inflation is increasing the money supply. The increase in prices is simply an effect of inflation, and the public doesn't realise this, and also doesn't realise too much about what the inflation rate means. They say that 40% of the public think that, or 30 to 40% of the public think that falling inflation means that prices are going down, which isn't true. It just means if prices are going up less rapidly. Now, all of this, Brian, has a big effect on the housing market, which is a big part of the United Kingdom economy. Here we see the Property Industry Eye reporting on this. They're saying that house prices suffered the sharpest annual fall in 14 years. They fell by 4.6% in the year to August. You're comparing with the same time in 2022. That's £14,000 off the value of an average house. Kim Kinnaird, director of Halifax Mortgages, said a traditional slowdown in house buying over the summer also played a role, despite the fact that it's year on year that's comparing August with August. I assume that summer came in August time last year as well. Property Industry Eye also quotes Managing Director James Forrester of Barrows and Forrester, who said, "It's important to remember that this time last year, the market was flying high at the peak of the pandemic price boom." He also talks about seasonal influence. So I just want to leave you with that unbelievable phrase, the pandemic price boom. Why on earth would there be a pandemic price boom? Of course, the answer is quantitative easing and money pumping by the Bank of England. That was creating inflation. People were feeling good about it. People were acting accordingly, and now prices have responded, and the Bank of England is trying also hard to bring them back down without admitting what actually caused the problem in the first place. Now, we've got here the Express reporting, "I'm a property expert, and I'm certain this will happen in 2024. So they've gone through several property experts. And one, Max Hancock, founder of the Good Homes Project, said that while this year's cooling market may impact the house price next year, vendor expectations are very strong and likely still buoyed by the perceived growth in equity during the COVID boom." So here we see this again. The growth in equity is illusionary. It's just inflation. It's just digital zeros and ones that have been generated by the Bank of England. It's been making people feel wealthier. It's a paper profit. And unless you took it back in 2022, people will have to appreciate that it no longer exists. The Guardian here is reporting house prices, also reporting house prices suffer the sharpest fall in 14 years. And they provide a nice little graph of house prices over time. Now, when you look at the graph over time, it doesn't look too bad. You can see the 2007 financial crisis fall, which was very substantial. And the fall that we're seeing here is less than half that over a longer time period. And, this is after a prolonged period of house price growth. So it doesn't look all that bad, and it still looks on that graph as though houses are a jolly good investment. However, if you then correct these numbers for inflation, using the CPI, a very flawed index, but using the CPI, you find that this next graph, as this next graph shows from allAgents, that actually house prices are still well off their 2007 peak in real terms and are going south. So this is taking a lot of largely fictional wealth that people have believed they've owned, believed they've possessed, and shown it to be nothing but inflation, nothing but asset price booms based on zero interest rate policy. But it's going to cause real pain as people have to make real adjustments when they find out that the information they're receiving about their own finances was not legitimate.
Okay, David, thank you very much for that report. Well, of course, people have got to keep an eye on the banks and who the banks really are and where